The show is about to begin.
Today is March 4th, 2023, and the Yankees are taking on division rivals, the Tampa Bay Rays. In a preseason matchup, Luis Severino was making his second start of spring training, and Anthony Volpe got the start at shortstop and was in the leadoff spot. 26 days until opening day. Let's do this. My recap, your reactions coming up next. This is NYY Recaps.
Welcome.
Just when they thought I was out, they pull me back in.
Welcome back, everybody. I got to update the score there. I've got 13-8. It is actually 14-8 was the final score. Yankees drop a nail biter in Tampa. Very, very windy afternoon, and it turned into home run derby. A couple of things before we get to the recap. Most of you know that last night's game was not televised. And apparently we missed a very strong Garrett Cole, but we also missed something else important, which was Michael King coming back. And he's going to be one of my sleeper picks to be a huge factor this season. 2 scoreless innings with 4 strikeouts. I really feel like the season went downhill last year when he got hurt. Nice job by Mike King. Keeping him healthy is just going to be huge. Also worth noting that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. had to pull out of the World Baseball Classic. It was 14-10. I can't keep up with these spring training games, man. I usually update the score like the second something happens, but like every 2 seconds in spring something's happening. So 14-10 final score. Yikes. But anyway, on to today's game. Second spring start for Luis Severino. There were some ups and downs. He looked very good in the first inning. Fastball was good. Not as great in the second inning. Gave up a couple of home runs, although I think the wind was kind of a factor. It was a factor for everybody today. Struck out Ben Gamel on a nasty pitch clock violation. I thought he looked strong. Ball was coming out of his hand well. Obviously, he's not going to be too shook up about a tough spring training outing. It is what it is. Final line from him, 2 2/3 innings, 2 hits, 3 runs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. So he did have the strikeout pitch working. Anthony Volpe got the start at shortstop. I thought he looked great again today. First at bat, he worked the count better than we've been seeing. Ended up popping out to first base, but as the guy leading off the game, you really want to work a good at bat, and he did that. Second at bat, he fell behind in the count, but ended up smoking a breaking ball off the left field wall. Just missed a 2-run home run. Good speed out of the box, good hustle all the way. He also lined into a double play, but hit the ball very hard. Another day of positives for Mr. Anthony Volpe. And look, I have to admit, I've been saying all winter and all spring so far that I think Peraza is going to win the job, but Volpe is starting to turn my head a little bit. I mean, he's just so damn good. You know, we had Peraza in the lineup today and in the lineup a number of times this spring, and he just doesn't jump off the screen the way Volpe does. He looks like he's a very solid player, but Volpe, he's got that next gear, that next level energy. So, hey, look. It's going to be a battle, but right now it's fun to watch. And either way, I think Volpe's going to be in there in short order, as Aaron Boone likes to say. Whether it's opening day, whether it's May 15th, whether it's the All-Star break, we're going to see him this year in the Bronx. So one thing I thought was interesting today was that the lineup had pretty much all the left field candidates in there. We had Aaron Hicks, we had Oswaldo Cabrera, we had Rafael Ortega, and we had Willie Calhoun, 4 left-handed hitters. And it's almost like we got to a place where they're all feeling comfortable, and so now they're throwing them all out there at the same time in the same conditions against the same pitching and saying, hey, show us something. And you know what? They basically played home run derby. Oh, man. That was fun to watch. All 4 of them went deep in this game. Aaron Hicks absolutely demolished a home run in the second inning. No help needed from the wind. One thing that I found interesting from his at-bat was that usually when he hits a home run, he follows through with one hand, but he kept both hands on the bat. And I talked about this a little bit on Twitter. And I think it's important to view the follow-through of a swing as sort of a piece of the larger swing and larger strategy of the swing as a whole. What I mean by that is a lot of times you can tell what a player is trying to accomplish with their swing by the way they finish. So, for instance, if you have a one-handed follow-through, it can allow for greater extension and whip-like action in the swing. Think Ken Griffey Jr., Alfonso Soriano, Miguel Andujar, Gary Sheffield, A-Rod. It's easier to stay balanced with a one-handed follow-through, and generally you make harder contact with whip-like action, but it can also be tougher to adjust to off-speed pitches, change-ups, sliders, things like that. With a two-handed follow-through, a lot of times you get more stability in the swing, more control of the swing, making it easier for guys to adjust to different pitches, different pitch speeds, but you sacrifice a little bit of that consistent, harder contact, but you might pick up some more softer hits because you're able to control the bat in the zone a little bit more. So, each style has its own pluses and minuses, but I do think it's interesting that Hicks is at least trying to make some adjustments. I find that the best hitters are guys who kind of generate that whip-like action, but still, because of the style and shape of their swing, are able to keep both hands on the bat. Think of somebody like Bryce Harper or Larry Walker. Even Oswaldo Cabrera, to a degree, has that shape of swing. Now, he's not as talented as those other guys, but he had a long home run today. Absolutely destroyed a 3-run shot over the pavilion in right field. And I'll tell you what, he's got some real potential. He's got some potential to contribute. I like his ability in the field. I like his power. I like his energy. He was mic'd up today, and he's just a ton of fun. I tell you what, you could do a lot worse having guys on your team than Oswaldo Cabrera. He's fun to watch. Dominguez was also in the game today. Oh yeah. Calhoun. He put a nice swing on one and demolished a home run. And then Rafael Ortega hit one to the moon. Unbelievable that all 4 of those guys went deep. But anyway, Dominguez was in the game. He popped up down the left field line. He thought it was a foul ball and didn't run out of the box. Noticed it a second later and was able to get to first with a base hit. But that was a valuable lesson, as they mentioned on the broadcast, about, hustling out of the box, about not assuming anything. So, hey, look, you learn. That's what spring training is about. He did pick up another hit later in the game. We got to see Andres Chaparro in the bottom of the ninth. Look, if you haven't seen highlights of Andres Chaparro, do yourself a favor and go to Yankees Farm on YouTube. That guy has a video of just some highlights from Chaparro last year. Chaparro is, as they say in baseball, hitterish. He's got very strong legs. He's got a very, very violent swing, but it's controlled violence. I think he's a pull hitter. I don't think he hits the ball that well to the opposite field, but he's a guy that you could see, if he can learn to use the field a little bit better and maybe become, a good third baseman, a good defensive player. I don't know what kind of defensive player he is, but I haven't really seen it. But the word is that he could use some improvement at third base. If he can, make strides defensively, this is a guy who might hit. He's that kind of player. So keep an eye on him. Lots of power. Trey Sweeney, first-round draft pick in 2021, also went deep in this game. Dead center field in the bottom of the ninth. Then Dominguez followed up with that second hit of the game. He's hitting 400 this spring. I do think you're going to see him get sent to minor league camp pretty soon, but it's been fun to watch. As the regulars start to get more at-bats in these games, you start to see some of the guys who are, going to start at AA or lower get sent on down to the minors first. So I think he'll be one of the first to go, and it'll create kind of a stir on social media in a couple of days. But, we're going to have Volpe up here for a while. We're going to have Peraza up here for a while. And it's fun to watch those guys compete. Ultimately, We got the score wrong to open things up, but this was not a pitcher's duel. 14-10, 24 runs, still got done in about 3 hours. Rays hang on to win the game.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
Hirsch says that Sweeney is our future third baseman.
I wholeheartedly agree.
I totally agree with that. He gives me Robin Ventura vibes a little bit. He's very tall. You don't typically see a ton of tall third basemen, but it can be an advantage when you got to lay out or jump to save that ball that's going down the line. He's got the shortstop ability, so he's got a strong arm. Typically, if you can play shortstop, you can play third base. You got to make that that throw from the hole. Either way, I could see it. I could see him being the Yankees' third baseman in a couple of years. He's got a good swing, drives the ball well, dead center field. That was not a wind-aided shot. He just smoked it. Sean Browning says, how much will the shift ban affect Hicks's results? I like that Hicks is trying to make some improvements. I do think he'll pick up a few more hits, with the shift going away. He's a guy who hit a lot of ground balls deep into the second base area where they would have somebody positioned on the grass. So just having to play, on the infield might help him a little bit, pick up a few more base hits. But really, I want to see more power out of a corner outfielder than Hicks showed last year. Just 8 home runs. I think his slugging was like, 330 or 340. I mean, it's ridiculously bad. So, I think that, while the shift will help him, I don't really want him to win the left field job. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think Oswaldo Cabrera, who you're seeing on your screen now, is probably a better fit. Booger Brain says, can you play the Miss Pac-Man theme starting when the game starts? No, I can't. I can't because I would get copyright violations. You're not allowed to play copyrighted music. You can do little segments. And also, I don't do shows when the game starts. As Frankie pointed out, I do a post-game show. This is YouTube's #1 post-game show. So, yeah, unpack that a little bit. Sean says that Peraza and Cabrera are probably getting roster spots for the whole season. I'd say I'd have to agree with that.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Absolutely. Hey.
Scott Rowland was pretty tall. I don't know how tall Scott Rowland was, but I feel like he was about 6'2", 6'3". I want to know how tall Trey Sweeney is. I'm going to look it up. I think he's about 6'3". Height. Trey Sweeney height. He's 6'4". How tall was Scott Rowland? I'm going to look. Scott Rowland height. I did a search for it. I don't see it. Oh, 6'4". Okay, so yeah, same height. All right, there you go. Let's go ahead and give the Great Comment Award. Booyah says, do you think Aaron Judge will hit more or less than 50 home runs? I'm taking the over. To me, he looks like a man on a mission. He's even stronger now somehow. He's just, I saw pictures of him standing next to the batting cage the other day, and he was just noticeably stronger. And he was already a beast, right? I think he knows that 70 is within reach, and he's got the best shot at 70 of anybody since Bonds. And I think he wants to go for it. I really do. It would be fun if he does. All right, let's see what we got here. Frankie says, you can do like 5 seconds of music. That's typically about what it is. So I can do, the Who. Also, you can change it up. You can add like reverberation. You can slow it down, speed it up. There's a lot of things you can do that's called fair use, transformative use. But, if you're interested in content creation, there's a lot of resources out there on how you can do that type of stuff. But also, I have no interest in playing the Miss Pac-Man theme. Frankie says, Josh got to take steroids if he wants 73. I don't know if I agree with that. But anyway, this was not an overly exciting game to watch. We've been working on spring training stuff, just kind of trying to get ready for the season. So I've done a few of these podcasts. I'm going to cut back until just before the season gets started. I feel like we're in good shape, ready to rock and roll here. So look for upcoming. I've got a season preview that I'm working on that'll come out on March 25th. I'll probably do 1 or 2 post games in between now and then once the season kicks off, we're ready to rock and roll. So this should be a really, really fun season. And Lucas DeTora says, do you think that there's any chance that Judge hits 70 plus? I mean, there's always a chance. There's always a chance.
Game over, man. Game over. I gotta get out of here.
THG. If Wells didn't get hurt, where do you think he would fall along the depth chart? I had him at number 3.
You gotta go.
I think a similar question would be Ben Rortvedt. If he wasn't always hurt, where would he be? You know, to me, Rortvedt and Wells would have been really competing to be that first guy called up this year should one of the catchers get hurt. But it is what it is. I appreciate it, everybody. Booyah says, can I be a mod for you? I don't need any new mods, but I appreciate the offer. I'll see you guys next time.
Hey everybody, if you've made it this far, we thank you. If you'd like to support NYY Recaps, please like and subscribe or pay a visit to our Shopify store for some great Yankees merch. Yes. If you're watching on YouTube, the link is in the description. But if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, just visit NYYRecaps.shop. If you really want to support NYY Recaps and help keep the show going year after year, join up as a member. It's $5, and members get their names up in lights during each post-game show. We're also on all podcast platforms, Instagram, and Twitch this year. So give us a follow if you use any of those platforms. We're expanding, and we have you to thank for making this such a great community. We'll see you next time.
It is your destiny.
Case closed. Ball game over.
Most impressive.